Whoops.
Okay. Nope. I'm here.
You're here? Okay.
I'm here.
Good. Awesome. So, welcome to today's live. Sorry we didn't make it online yesterday. I had internet troubles and it just didn't want to work. So today we are talking about wholeness. But before we get into wholeness, let's just go around and introduce everybody. And if anybody has anything special going on, anything that they're preparing or launching, please let us know. So Michael, would you like to go first?
Well, I am launching something. It's not a business where I can utilize very much of this, but it's another business nonetheless. I'm setting up a shop to do work with wood and metal and create some furniture. So
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'll get back into welding, and
yeah.
I come from a family of woodworkers and home builders, so it'll be a chance to make some sawdust and see what I can create. So I'll be renting
that
my
sounds
space.
Like fun of creativity.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
So I'll start that in the next week or so here.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Wonderful. So are you going to have a website? You'll have stuff shown online when you finish creating it, or how will that work?
I've got a Facebook page, Instagram page already.
Okay.
And website to come. I was just eyeballing Wix to build my website. So
okay,
as it comes.
Awesome. Great to know about that. Sandra.
Oh yeah, I have lots on the go. Right now in the group we have a breakfast challenge going on for the week. Really looking at your focus on that. Just finishing off some final stuff for one of the challenges for next month. That's going to be a detox challenge of 5 days to move into the group program of really working on yourself. I'm in the process of changing the name of the program, but prior to this, you've heard me talk about Jumpstart your metabolism. So I'm going to just be doing a little bit of tweaks on that and changing the name for that one. And that's going to launch probably around the middle of March, and we go for 9 weeks on that. So I'm really looking forward to having some ladies sign up for that and learn how to ditch that diet and move on and love themselves as they look in the mirror.
Awesome.
Nice.
How about you, Sarah?
Well, in Nourish, for the month of March, we're starting a Moving Through March challenge so that every day of the week you incorporate some type of movement into your daily activities. Beth and I are both really excited about this one. There's going to be, a lot of good suggestions and, just, I don't know, keeping each other motivated, I think, to just get moving, keep moving. For those of us here in the Northern Hemisphere, these winter months, we like to hunker down and be a little, hibernating bears and get sedentary. So this is a good chance to really sort of get moving before spring actually hits. And so that's in the Nourish group. We'll be working on that. And I'm also in process of developing a group coaching program, basically, off the premise of ditch the diet and face the feelings, but it's all about really the ultimate diet freedom formula is so that you can quit dieting once and for all and just relearn how to eat appropriately for what your body needs. Working on that. And we've got a few other things in the hopper that we'll be mentioning as we get a little closer to the right time for that. So lots of good stuff going on.
Yeah, exactly. So Sarah basically shared what we've got going on in Nourish, which I'm really excited about. And building with some other partners up Divine Shenanigans, which is fun spirituality, you know, exploring our spiritual side, not just nourishing our bodies, but nourishing our spirits as well. So we've got a little bit of that going on. And obviously working on building my coaching practice. So, you know, there's all of that. Let's get into talking about wholeness. And obviously we've talked a lot in the last 4 weeks about different types of strength, you know, emotional strength, mental strength. We've talked about power, feeling powerful and powerless. And we're kind of bringing this all to a close, talking about wholeness. So when we're talking about wholeness, what does that mean to you?
Really, it's the integration of all of the parts of health and wellness, you know, not just
Oh, excuse me, Sarah, you're
Sarah,
off.
you're muted.
There we go.
where did I leave off? He wasn't even touching my computer. I don't understand. I don't know what you heard or what you didn't hear. So,
Just start from the beginning.
it was like the best thing I've ever said. Oh,
Of course.
Oh, of course it was. Oh, man. Oh.
So I was saying that for me, wholeness is really the ultimate integration of the nutritive value of the food that I'm putting in my body, my mindset work around, you know, the mind, body, soul, and the physical aspect of it, and how much movement I'm getting in my daily activity. So that's what the wholeness of ditch the diet and face the feelings is for me.
Nice. I think it's kind of bringing all things together. Your nutrition, your intuition as far as learning what your body needs instead of wants, being active, as you said, Sarah, and, you know, keeping steady on your spiritual path. And you kind of merge all those into one. And when they're all clicking, you know, that's when you just move forward on all fronts, if they all come together and work together.
How about you, Sandra?
For me, really, wholeness means that I'm accepting who I am right now in this present moment and giving myself lots of self-love and gratitude for everything that I have, and gratitude for the body that I've been given, even though it's not 100% healthy, but moving towards healthy, giving it proper nourishment, proper activity, taking time to meditate, taking time to journal, and really becoming who my soul really wants to be by listening to that innate wisdom that it's got there all the time. And it's just tuning into it.
Yep.
That's
Nice.
a fabulous description of wholeness. Thank you. Yeah. I know for me, it's recognizing that each and every cell of my body has the entire DNA sequence of my entire body. That, you know, any one piece of it is part of that whole. And that recognition that this is not just looking out for, am I doing something for my heart, or am I doing something for my stomach, or am I pleasing my tongue? But it is that wholeness of you know, I don't really want to use the word holistic, but yes, it is holistic. You know, it is looking at my entire environment, the outer world, the inner world, how I am portraying myself, expressing myself in the world, and what I'm allowing in the outer world to affect me.
I think too, it really comes down to honoring yourself, not just your physical, but honoring your mental and your emotional being, like, and really had a conversation with one of my clients this afternoon, and I said to her, how are you honoring your soul by allowing your spouse to make those types of sexual demands on you? Is that really what your soul is saying is honoring you? And it really gave her pause for thought. And then I went into the fact that let's talk about your body, your own body, and how are you honoring that to make you the whole person that you are? And I think if we can step back and really look at all of it and really say, but what's just been said doesn't honor who I am. I am whole, and this is where I need to be. And I think if we can really shift that in ourselves, it will help you take everything that we've talked about in the last 4 weeks and put it together.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Sorry about that. I got a 5-year-old that is getting out of bed and she's overtired. I tried twice to put her down for a nap today and it didn't work. So she's having a rough day.
She's lacking in wholeness right now.
Yes.
Oh, she's definitely lacking in wholeness. And she says to me, my brain, it tells me not to go to sleep. And I was like, well, what does your heart say? My heart says, it wants to stay awake. And I'm like, oh, man. It's like, oh, man, she's just so past overtired. It's just, you know, it's like, oh, man, this is bad. But, you know, not practicing wholeness. Absolutely. Yeah. I will definitely say that decent sleep is essential for wholeness.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That's one of those things we cannot just, you know, oh, well, I can remember when I used to say, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah, me
Oh,
too.
that's my love.
And it catches up with you, you know, it shows up in your body. I'm absolutely convinced that, you know, you cannot just keep on pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and all be okay. Because yeah, in your 20s, you're absolutely fine. You hit your 40s and it's like, well, yeah, sleep is kind of essential.
You know, if you think of wholeness as a circular graph, then I think all of the components that make up the segments of that graph, they could shift in how much they require or demand in that whole, but they're definitely all a part of it all the time. Like in your 20s, yeah, your sleep portion might have only been this much, but now, you know, you're in your 40s and you definitely need more sleep. Your body just can't sustain itself on that little amount of sleep anymore. So,
But you know what I found fascinating, you know, like in my 20s, I could sleep 12 hours straight. I can't do that anymore.
yeah.
you know, I get to about 6 hours, 7 hours, and my body says, yeah, that's enough. So if I'm sleep deprived, it takes me days to get enough sleep to get out of that. Whereas when you're in your 20s and you're sleep deprived, you do 1 day of sleeping and hey, presto, you're back, you know?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, so the components of your wholeness don't change. It's just the measurement of each portion of it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
The pie chart.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would definitely say, you know, one of the best things that happened to me with celiac was having to go back to natural foods instead of processed foods, because there's wheat in so much processed food. You know, even if it's not in the processed food as an ingredient, it's contamination. And so, you know, I was in a celiac group this week. You know, one of them was talking about how, you know, she tried all these different replacements for, I think she was talking about chicken nuggets and that they were all awful. And I was like, well, what if
You actually made it
you
yourself.
learned to cook chicken a different, tasty, delicious way? Why does it have to be chicken nuggets? You know, and it was just this whole thing of, you know, it could be a gift of, you know, I mean, like for me, there's, if I make a really good salad, you know, and you throw on fennel leaf or you throw on basil leaf, or, you know, or even if it's spearmint with something else, and you just play with those tastes and those textures, you can come up with some amazing food that tastes really good.
It's an art. Cooking is an art, and you
It is, and you've got to learn it, okay? And so, you know, we're used to, well, I'll just pick up this at the supermarket and it will be fine because that's what our taste buds have gotten used to. But the moment you go back to really unprocessed food and learning to cook it naturally, or better yet, not cook it and have it raw, in some cases, you try processed food and you're like, how on earth did I ever think this was good?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a price you pay for convenience. Absolutely.
And it is that convenient, absolutely. Because I mean, like I know somebody came to my house, you know, and they were going to cook, and they're like, "Where's your chicken broth?" And I was like, "Oh, we'd have to make that." And she's like,
it's
"Well,
it's running around outside."
I was like, and she's like, "Well, do you have some vegetable broth or some beef stock?" And I was like, "Well, there's bones in the freezer. We could make some beef stock, or we could take some of the vegetables that are older and make a vegetable broth." And she's looking at me, she's like, "That's how you do it." I'm like, "Yeah, that would be how I do it."
Yep.
And she was like, "How do you find time?" And I was like, "I don't find time. I make time. I put it on. You know, it takes an hour or whatever it takes. And I just organize myself ahead of time of knowing when I'm going to need it. And I put it on. I mean, vegetable broth, the beef broth or chicken broth, you don't actually have to stand over the stove and do anything. You just put it on and you leave it simmering for an hour and you come back and it's done. You know, it's pretty damn simple.
Yep.
But there's a lot of things I can be doing while that's cooking.
Yeah, and that's part of the teaching process when you start to work with somebody with food and diet. You know, is there are many people that have probably never cooked. You know, really, as far as making something from scratch.
Yeah.
So they look at you like, I don't even know where to start. How do I start? What do I do? You know, so it's really an education.
Yeah.
And once they do it, and they feel the changes that it brings and the connection with the food that they're eating, and then where did it come from? you know, you give them
Yeah.
6 months of that, and they're like, oh wow, I can't believe I even ate that other stuff.
Yep.
And called it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
But it's a difficult journey because I mean I can remember back in, I'm not even sure what year it was. My brother was about 21, 22, and he came to live with me for 6 months. And I was like, well, if I'm maintaining you and I'm paying all the bills and you're just living here for free, you get to be the cook. And he's like, I don't know how to cook. And I was like, well, I got recipe books and we'll have the numbers for pizza and sushi on the fridge. So when we have that first bite and it is totally ineditable, well, then we'll order the sushi or the pizza. But first we try what you cooked.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had quite a lot of fun in the kitchen. So when my brother moved home at the end of the 6 months, he moved back to live with mom and dad again. Because I was living in Panama. He came and stayed with me here, and then he moved back to New Zealand again because he missed New Zealand. So he goes back, and mom's like, how did you do that? I was like, do what? She's like, he's cooking. And I was like, well, it was that or starving. It's pretty simple. But it was fun, you know, and we made it fun, you know, who could come up with the best dish? And we'd have competitions. Well, tonight you cook, tomorrow I cook, and let's see who does it better.
Here's a secret too for the guys. Ladies like it when you know how to maneuver and work in the kitchen.
That is
That
absolutely
is so
true.
true.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
And I will say my sister-in-law is eternally grateful to me.
My mom taught me to cook, and I in turn taught my 4 boys how to cook.
Awesome.
And it's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, my ex was an excellent cook, so I basically didn't have to go into the kitchen for 15 years. I actually kind of forgot that I loved to cook because he did all the cooking. So now I'm back.
It's really funny. A friend of mine's son, she's my mom's friend. He's about my age, and he always cooks at home. And he's forever posting on Facebook, you know, what he made or barbecues that he's done or
Nice.
Sunday night dinners and stuff. And everyone's like, man, this guy just, you know, I mean, because not only does he cook well, like taste wise, he's got a flair for the presentation too. So, you know, he's not just going to slop it on the plate, you know. And I'm like, damn, you know. And his wife.
One of our favorite things to do was if we had a good meal at a restaurant, we would go home and then try to recreate that. So then we could just continue.
Absolutely.
And it's fun. I mean, just get to be like a mad scientist in the kitchen and mess around with stuff and try things. It doesn't have to be a scary place.
Well, I know a couple of years ago, I went to a restaurant here in Panama that did lentil soup, but with an overpowering taste of cilantro. Now, either cilantro, you either love it or hate it. You know, it's one of those herbs that if you don't like it, yeah, exactly. Okay.
It tastes like dish soap to me.
Okay, see, exactly. Okay. Everyone that doesn't like it says exactly that. That's
it's actually a genetic thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I absolutely loved it. And I have yet to be able to put in enough cilantro for that to taste as good as that other one was. And I am like, how much cilantro did these guys put in this?
Well, if it was one leaf, it was one leaf too many, but
But you know, I mean, going back to the theme of wholeness, you know, it's for me, that fun in the kitchen is part of all of this. It's the creating the environment of enjoyment, of loving it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
sorry, a client I was working with recently who her MO was to turn things on in the kitchen and then go sit in the other room. And she's like, dinner's always burnt. And I said, well, how about if you go in the kitchen, like create an environment that you want to be on, turn on some music or a podcast or something so that you're there and you're present with what you're doing and you're imbuing your food with love as you're preparing it. And so she started doing that, and she's like, it's really kind of fun to be in there and do that. I'm like, it is, you have to create that positive environment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I mean, like, yes, obviously, if you start dinner in the kitchen and then you go watch TV or you walk, I mean, I've done that. I've walked back, got on the computer to do one thing.
Yep.
And forgotten that I was just doing that one thing. And it's like, something's burnt.
Do not pull me away from the grill. That's bad because it will burn.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Guarantee it.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, so I live in a condo. I have neighbors that live above me, and I had a text message from my neighbor yesterday. We were just talking about, do I bother you with this noise or that noise or anything else? And it came around to cooking, and she said, you inspire me to cook all the time just because of the smells that are coming up from your place. And
that's
so,
awesome.
I have a neighbor somewhere over the back of my place. I don't know which building it is, but the aroma wafts in every once in a while, and I'm like, oh, I'm hungry. Okay, what am I cooking?
Yeah, and I hadn't even thought about it before, and I, so I just said, well, I'll just keep cooking. She's like, yeah, keep it up. She's like, I'm so inspired just from what I smell coming from your place.
Yeah.
So now if I can just convert them to being plant-based, like my mission will be complete.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I bought a week ago now, this giant, I guess it's probably a 5-pound bag of lentils. And a friend of mine was like, well, how long will that last you? And I'm like, not that long.
Depends how much cilantro you can get.
I mean, it's not even that. It's the fact that, I'll use it as a side, not as a main. And, but I love cooking it up and having it frozen in the freezer ready of, oh my goodness, I forgot to prep. And what am I going to do what do I have that I can do quickly while I actually prepare something that is healthy and wholesome? Yeah. So there's our soup while we get started.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it is prep time, I have to be more organized. That's the reality of doing this, but it feels so much better too. Like I'll make French fries here at home in the air fryer, but that means that I cook my potatoes beforehand. And of course I cook them with the skin still on. And my daughter's like, they don't look like French fries. And I'm like, well, that's because they got the skins on. Well, why don't you just peel them? Like, because that's where all the goodness is. I will let you have the ketchup on them, but they have the skins on.
I think too that if you're going to be cooking, that it's a really good idea to maybe take when you're doing your grocery shopping and you get home and as you're putting your veg away, wash it up, cut it up, whatever you're going to do with it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And put it in the fridge and it's there, it's all ready.
Yeah. And it's nice knowing which veggies you can cut up immediately and which ones you got to leave whole just to keep them fresher and everything. Those sorts of things, in my 20s was always a disaster because I would try and cut everything up because it will be faster.
No, it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't always work that way. It doesn't work that well. But, as you get to know which ones do you wrap in paper versus which ones do you put, in the drawer, or which ones do you put in a plastic container, just knowing what you're going to do with them, which ones need a glass bowl even, versus Tupperware.
Came home the other day and I was going to eat some, and so I just chopped all of it and washed it and keep it in the fridge in a glass full of water.
Exactly.
Easy
Yeah.
peasy. It took me 30 extra seconds.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
time I'll never get back.
Yeah. Now they're easier to fill with peanut butter.
That's right.
Thank you,
Exactly.
Mike. Yeah. I
That's
actually
right.
prefer almond butter, but you're absolutely right. Yes.
Right on.
Yeah.
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 So, guys, we've gone over time.
Again.
Again, yeah, exactly. But an invitation to all of you that are watching to come and join us in Nourish for the challenge in March. It's all about movement. It's about celebrating how much your body can do, not what you can't or you won't, but what you can do. And being adventurous enough to maybe try something you've never tried before to see, would I enjoy this? You know, if you've always thought, well, dancing might be fun and you've never done it, well, why don't you try a class in March? If you've always thought, you know, well, maybe I could try hiking. Well, find an easy one if you know, if it's good enough weather, obviously, because I don't know where you live. But, you know, it's just that exploration, that adventuring of what could I do? And I know for a fact, something like woodworking, like Mike's doing, that is strenuous physical exercise sometimes. If you're doing anything with a lathe, if you're doing anything with any heavy equipment, that's hard work.
Yep.
So it's about, you know, I mean, even something like painting, just easy movement. It doesn't have to be big movement, but just do something outside of the usual. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Sarah, Mike, Sandra. It has been a pleasure, and we will see you all next week. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.